Okay, let's dive in. Today we're unpacking a stack of excerpts from C.S. Lewis's incredibly rich story, The Horse and His Boy.
Hmm.
We've got a mission to follow two parallel, desperate escapes, two young people and two very surprising horses as they flee a world that feels like a cage
Right.
and make this dangerous journey north towards, well, the promise of Narnia.
It's a remarkable deep dive because while the story is set during, the height of Narnian glory, the Golden Age,
Yeah.
the action takes us far south into the very different empire of Calormen and the wild, unmapped lands between these
Right.
worlds.
Different territory for Lewis.
Definitely. And it's really a journey about hidden identities, about finding where you truly belong.
And it all kicks off way down south in this poor fisherman's hut in Calormen. We meet a boy named Shasta.
Yeah, Shasta. And his life is, well, it's harsh. Living with the fisherman, Arshish.
It sounds like just endless work. Ned's cleaning, cooking, and he gets criticized a lot, punished even.
Exactly. Shasta's world is tiny, like really tiny, bounded by just one hill, but he dreams of the north.
Even though asking about it just gets him trouble, right? A box on the ears, the text says.
Pretty much. Arshish, the fisherman, he has this very narrow, sort of utilitarian view of life you see in Calormen.
Uh-huh.
When Shasta asks about the world beyond, Arshish quotes poets, sure, but only poets who say, mind your own business.
Focus on work.
Focus on application to business, avoid idle questions. Curiosity, he thinks, just leads to indigence. No room for wonder.
It's all profit and practicality. Oof. But then one evening, things change. A high-ranking guest arrives, a Tarkane, a Calormen lord.
And this is where Shasta's world just starts to crack open. He overhears Arshish and the Tarkane talking.
A really important conversation to overhear.
Completely revealing. Arshish shows his true colors. He's haggling over Shasta, trying to sell him.
Oh.
Puts on this whole show of affection, my only child, quoting poetry about natural affection is stronger than soup. But it's all an act.
You can just picture the greedy look.
Totally. He's trying to get a good price for the boy.
Awful. And the Tarkane, he sees through it.
Yeah, he does. He points out the obvious. Shasta isn't dark-skinned like the Calormens. He's fair and white, like the Northerners.
The accursed but beautiful barbarians, as he calls them.
Right. And he reveals he knows Shasta was actually found as a baby in a little boat.
So, boom. Two massive secrets revealed to Shasta right there.
Instantly. First, Arshish isn't his father. His whole identity is suddenly a question mark.
Yeah.
Second, he might actually be from the north, the place he's always dreamed about. It sets him apart immediately.
So while Arshish and the Tarkane are still inside, haggling away.
Shasta wanders outside, feeling, like an object being bought and sold.
Understandable.
He goes over to the Tarkan's horse, this magnificent war horse, and just sort of pets him, wondering, if only he could tell me something.
And the horse does tell him.
The horse speaks. That's the other huge secret. Seek the north, fool, or something like that, startling Shasta.
He introduces himself as Bree, right?
Huh?
Short for a very long Narnia name.
Bree, Brinny, hooey, hi, yeah. And he reveals he's a talking horse from Narnia, stolen years ago.
Wow.
And he longs for the sweet air of Narnia. He wants to go home.
A talking horse.
Yeah.
For Shasta, this must be just mind-blowing.
Completely. And Bree heard the conversation, too. He knows Shasta's about to be sold, probably into slavery.
So he suggests they escape. Together.
Exactly. Escape north to Narnia. For Bree, it's his big chance after years of pretending to be a dumb beast.
And for Shasta, it's his dream suddenly becoming terrifyingly possible.
He agrees right away. The plan's simple. Wait till dark, then slip away.
And Bree knows the ropes. He says go north, even though the Tarkane lives south. It's the unexpected move.
Right. Best chance to get away clean.
So they leave that night. Shasta says it's a quiet goodbye to the hut, the donkey.
Yeah, that little detail, kissing the donkey goodbye. It shows that even though it was harsh, it was his life.
He feels a little bit sorry, but much less sorry than he was glad. I like that line.
Me too. And they use that clever trick, wading upstream first to hide their tracks before heading north.
Smart.
And just like that, they cross the ridge. The edge of Shasta's entire known world, they're out in the wild.
The morning after must have felt incredible.
A total revelation. He wakes up sore, yeah, but the view from the cliff, huge. The sea stretching out.
And what strikes him is what's not there.
Exactly. The smell of fish. His whole life smelled of fish, and he hadn't even realized it. This new air, this freedom. You can almost taste it.
And they find supplies in the saddlebags.
Yeah. Food, wine, even some money. 40 crescents, like a little bit of help for their journey.
Nice.
And then Bree just has this moment of pure joy rolling on the grass.
Oh, yeah. Just loving being free.
Loving it. That's good. That's very good, he says.
Which leads to that interesting little moment. Shasta laughs, says he looks funny.
And Bree gets instantly anxious.
Yeah. Suddenly self-conscious.
Does it really look funny? He's worried it's some silly, clownish trick he picked up from ordinary horses.
He's worried about what the real Narnian talking horses will think.
Exactly. It's the first hint of Bree's vanity, his concern with status and appearances. He's been pretending for so long, he's actually insecure about how to be a proper, free Narnian horse.
That's fascinating. How slavery affected his self-image.
Yeah, it planted these seeds of pride, but also anxiety. Still, he knows the way ahead for Tashben, the big Calormen city, then cross the desert towards the northern mountains.
So they travel for weeks, sticking near the coast, mostly at night.
Right, avoiding people. Shasta's world just opens up. Vast, lonely, so different.
And then, one night the danger hits home. They hear a roar.
Lions,
Yeah.
out of the darkness. And Bree, despite being this big war horse, he's terrified.
Understand.
He bolts inland. After they cross the stream, he starts, shaking, and admits how scared he was. He says he's just as frightened as a common boom Calormen horse.
Again, with the status thing, he's ashamed of being scared.
Yeah, links it to the dumb horses he looks down on. But the danger isn't over.
More roars.
Yeah, more roars, this time forcing them towards each other. And the moonlight shows there are two horses and riders, galloping side by side, running from the same fear.
Ah, the meeting.
The pivotal meeting. The second pair is a girl in armor and her mare.
And Bree recognizes the mare.
Instantly, as a talking horse from Narnia.
And the girl is Aravis Tarkina. Very different background from Shasta.
Oh, completely. High Calormen nobility. But she's trapped, too. Forced into marriage with a Hosta Tarkan.
Who sounds awful, old, humpbacked.
Utterly repulsive to her. She's in despair, actually considering suicide.
But her horse stops her.
Her mare, Hwin, speaks, just like Bree did for Shasta. Hwin reveals she's also a Narnian talking horse, stolen young.
Wow.
And she tells Aravis about Narnia, this place where, girls aren't forced into horrible marriages.
Hwin sounds gentler than Bree.
Very gentle, but firm. And Aravis, she's spurred into action. She comes up with this elaborate escape plan.
Pretends to agree to the wedding.
Yep. Arranges a fake trip, drugs her slave girl attendant so she sleeps through the night.
Ooh, that's a bit morally gray.
It is, and it comes back later. Then Aravis puts on her brother's armor, takes jewels and money, and escapes with Hwin heading north.
She sounds very decisive, resourceful.
Definitely. A different kind of courage. Hwin is more cautious, offers quiet wisdom.
So the lions literally push them together in the desert.
Exactly. After that terrifying chase, they finally stop, catch their breath, and have this really awkward first conversation.
Bree and Hwin know each other right away, fellow Narnians.
Yep. But the humans, not so smooth. Aravis is used to giving orders, tells Shasta to mind his own business.
Huh. Glass clash.
Totally. Bree even comments on quarrelsome humans.
But then Bree explains something important, doesn't he? About talking horses.
Yeah, he tells Aravis that Hwin isn't her horse, like property. It's more like Aravis's way is human.
That must blow Aravis's mind. Challenges that whole Calormen hierarchy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Aravis notices Shasta's fair skin, like hers. Like the Narnians she's heard about. They look alike, these northerners.
So despite the friction,
they decide to travel together. Safety in numbers, right? Though Aravis is clearly way more interested in Bree, the noble war horse, than Shasta, the scruffy boy.
figures. So they share their stories.
They do. Aravis goes first, telling hers in this very formal, grand Calormen style, all about her lineage, the awful Hosta, the escape.
And Shasta keeps interrupting.
Yeah, with a really basic question, which clearly annoys Aravis. Bree has to explain things like early marriage customs to Shasta.
Then Bree tells his story.
Yeah, but Shasta finds it kind of long-winded, focusing too much on, the times he stumbled.
Different perspectives.
It definitely shows they're still strangers, navigating each other. Bree and Aravis do most of the talking, sharing knowledge about Calormen. Hwin stays quiet. Aravis ignores Shasta.
So they press on towards Tashban. More signs of civilization now.
Gardens, villages, people. They switch to traveling mainly at night, hiding by day, debating how to get through this massive city.
The detour sounds too long.
Yeah, they decide to risk sneaking through. Try to look like peasants, mud, acting tired.
Bree must hate that. Looking common.
Oh, he does. Tells Aravis to try and look less like a princess. Hwin suggests cutting their tails short like baggage horses, but Bree is horrified. Vanity again.
So they join the crowd, heading over the big bridge into Tashbaan, horns blowing.
Yeah, that solemn sound. Aravis is just miserable, whispering to Shasta how humiliating it is, sneaking in like this.
And they get hassled at the gate.
Yeah, a soldier notices Bree looks too good, even muddy. He hits Shasta, calls him young filth, just casual cruelty.
Grim welcome.
And then inside, chaos. The crowd is huge. Shasta gets separated, swept away with a completely different group.
Not Calormens.
No, strikingly different. Fair skin, fair hair, bright clothes, different swords, winged caps, lively, laughing, whistling. Not grave like the Calormens.
He's captivated.
Totally. Thinks they're the loveliest people he's ever seen. He realizes they're Narnians and Archenlanders.
And then the mistaken identity happens.
Instantly, a beautiful lady, Queen Susan of Narnia, grabs him, calls him Corin, says she's glad he's safe, mentions his father, King Loon. Shasta's just bewildered.
Swept off his feet.
Taken into this cool, luxurious room, cushions everywhere. He meets others, a fawn, Mr. Tumnus.
Tumnus.
Yeah, and dwarfs, a talking raven. It's like stepping into another world for him. Mythical creatures.
A sudden immersion in Narnian wonder. And he overhears things.
Big things. King Edmund and Queen Susan are talking about her rejecting Prince Rabadash's marriage proposal.
The Calormen prince.
Right. And their plan to secretly sail back to Narnia that night.
While they're talking, Tumnus is being kind to Shasta.
Yeah, still thinking he's Prince Corin, talking about feasts in Archenland, maybe seeing Aslan himself, adding to Shasta's total confusion.
He must be panicking inside.
Absolutely terrified. He's an imposter. He's overheard state secrets. His Calormen upbringing makes him think these nobles might kill him to keep him quiet.
He doesn't understand Narnian honor yet.
Not at all. He assumes the worst based on the world he knows.
And then the real Corin shows up.
Right at the peak of Shasta's panic, the door opens and in walks Prince Corin. Looks almost exactly like Shasta, but...
rougher around the edges.
Yeah, black eye, missing tooth, torn clothes. Clearly been having some kind of adventure.
The mistake is obvious now.
Instantly. And Corin... he thinks it's hilarious, says they could have had fun with the likeness.
But Shasta just wants out.
Desperately. Before he's caught, Corin quickly tells him how he got in, climbed a wall near a rubbish heap.
So Shasta bolts.
Yep. Promises Corin will explain. He feels a tiny bit bad about leaving Aravis and Bree, but also kind of justifies it, thinking, that Aravis thinks she's too good for me anyway. Still feeling that sting of her attitude.
Kid logic. Understandable, sort of.
Meanwhile, Aravis has a totally different Tashbaan experience. She finds her friend, Lasaraleen.
Who's like the opposite of Aravis.
Completely. High society lady, obsessed with clothes, parties, gossip, giggles constantly, lives in total luxury.
And she thinks Aravis's escape is just thrilling.
Perfectly thrilling, but she doesn't get the danger at all. She cannot understand why Aravis would run away from marrying a Hoshta, who's now the Grand Vizier. Super rich, super powerful.
All Lasaraleen sees is the stuff Aravis is giving up.
Palaces, jewels, status, yeah. But Aravis convinces Lasaraleen to help her hide in the palace, and while looking for a way out.
They hide and overhear something else important.
Hugely important. A secret council meeting.
Who's there?
The Tisroc himself, the Emperor, may he live forever, his son, Prince Rabadash, and the new Grand Vizier, the slimy Ahoshta Tarkhan.
The guy Aravis was supposed to marry.
The very one. And we see the Calormen court in action, formal, fear-based. Ahoshta is literally lying flat on the carpet.
Wow. Subservient.
Totally. And Prince Rabadash is furious, steaming mad because Queen Susan rejected him and sailed off.
He wants revenge.
He demands he must have her, calls her awful names, even kicks Ahoshta when the vizier tries to quote poetry about reason.
Charming guy.
And the Tisroc. He's chillingly calm. Stops the kicking, but basically agrees with Rabadash's anger. Then Rabadash lays out his plan.
Fueled by wounded pride.
Absolutely. It's a sudden, treacherous attack plan. Take just 200 horsemen, ride flat out across the desert.
To where?
To launch a surprise attack on Anvard, King Loon's castle in Archenland.
But they're at peace with Archenland.
Exactly. That's the treachery. Anvard won't be expecting it.
And from Anvard?
Ride through the pass into Narnia, get to Cair Paravel while High King Peter is away fighting giants.
Catch Queen Susan when her ship arrives.
Capture her. He claims he'll do it with minimal force, but it's all about possessing her. Pure ego and desire.
Does the Tisroc approve?
He seems hesitant, but Ahoshta, ever the flatterer, backs Rabadash with this really nasty wisdom. Says the Narnians are fools for poetry and love, so a mad plan might actually work. It'll give Calormen Narnia by the throat.
What?
The Tisroc gives this quiet, unofficial nod, but insists the conversation never happened. Plausible deniability. Rabadash acted alone on a foolish impulse. Pure Calormen politics.
Hypocrisy at its finest.
Deeply Machiavellian. So Aravis hears this and realizes her escape is now tied to stopping an invasion.
She has to warn them.
She's determined. Lasaraline is terrified, though. Reminds Aravis the Tisroc ordered anyone who knew this plan killed. She just wants her silks and parties back.
Aravis won't back down.
No way! She's more scared of marrying a Hoshta than dying. She forces Lasaraline's hand, threatens to scream if she doesn't help her escape via a water gate.
Lesserline caves.
Reluctantly. Makes one last plea for Aravis to marry the rich vizier. Calls a Hoshta a hideous, groveling slave.
Ouch.
Lasaraline just doesn't get it. Says it must be right if he's going to do it. Total deference to power.
So Aravis gets away.
On to the river in a boat. Huge relief. She lands and heads for the tombs outside the city, hoping the others are still there.
And they are.
Thankfully, yes. Shasta comes out of hiding just as the groom leading Bree and Hwin away leaves. Perfect timing.
Aravis tells him everything.
Quickly. Rabadash's plan, the surprise attack on Anvard.
How does Bree react?
Furious. Treacherous hounds. Attacking in peacetime. They all realize their escape isn't just personal anymore.
It's a race.
A race against time to save Archenland, maybe Narnia too. They have to get to Anvard first, give the warning.
So the desert crossing sounds brutal.
Oh, it is. Blinding heat, the glare, Shasta's bare feet burning on the sand, and the thirst. Try not to think about water, just makes it worse.
Just endless monotony.
Yeah, the book describes it so well. Jingle, 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 squeak, squeak, squeak. The smell of hot horse, hot self.
Yeah.
Tashba never seems further away. The mountains never closer. Real test.
Until Shasta spots something.
Yeah, just when they're about to despair, he sees the landmarks the Raven mentioned back in Tashban. A downward slope, rocks, the hidden valley.
What?
They find mud, then a stream, a river, a pool, a waterfall.
Oh, the relief must have been immense.
The horses plunge in. Shasta dives into the cool water. The text calls it maybe the loveliest moment of his life. Pure, unexpected bliss after the hardship.
They must have been exhausted.
Completely. They collapse, fall into this deep sleep. Soft grass, cool air, bird song. Total contrast to the desert.
But they can't rest long.
Aravis wakes first, feeling guilty for wasting time sleeping. Bree's still overconfident, thinks they're way ahead of Rabadash.
But Huria brings them back to reality.
Hwin, with her gentle wisdom, asks if horses aren't often made to push on when tired, even with riders. Says now, as free Narnian horses, shouldn't they do more? It's all for Narnia.
That's powerful. Freedom needs responsibility.
Exactly. A quiet challenge to Bree. And Shasta points out the Raven didn't say the valley route was shorter, just better because of water. They might actually be behind Rabadash.
Oops. Urgency returns.
They press on down the valley. It widens, meets a bigger river, and beyond it, hills rising to mountains, Archenland, Narnia.
Bree must be ecstatic.
Overcome, neighing, broo-hoo-hoo, the north, the green north.
They cross the river.
Wade across into greener country, new trees, wild animals. Aravis thinks it's simply glorious, her real self emerging.
But the relief doesn't last.
Nope. Shasta looks back from a ridge, sees a dust cloud. Far off, not a sandstorm.
Rabadash.
His army? Finding a ford? They're much closer than Bree thought.
The race is really on now.
Full tilt towards Anvard. Grueling pace over the ridges. Shasta sees the army, like ants, crossing the river behind them.
And just when they think they might make it?
They reach another ridge, see the army, and then hear that sound again from behind them.
Oh no, not the lion again.
The same one, that snarling roar. Bree is just paralyzed by terror for a second, then finds this incredible burst of speed, pulls ahead.
Leaving the others?
Yeah. The lion is gaining on Hwin and Aravis, snapping at Hwin's legs.
What does Shasta do?
Despite his own fear, his exhaustion, he sees Aravis and Hwin in danger and does something totally new for him.
He helps.
He yells at Bree to stop, but Bree keeps going. So Shasta slips his feet from the stirrups and jumps off Bree.
Jumps off a galloping horse.
Yeah.
That takes guts.
It hurts like anything, but he staggers back towards them. Just must go back, must help.
Hwin makes it to a gate.
Yes, stumbling, near collapse, reaches a gate in a green wall. Aravis is still on her, but her back is bleeding.
And someone's there.
A robed, bearded man at the gate, the hermit of the Southern March. He welcomes them.
Shasta catches up.
Panting, asks if the hermit is King Loon.
No.
Now, The hermit sees their state, sees the urgency, tells Shasta he has to run on alone, warn King Loon at Anvard, the horses are done, Aravis is hurt.
Oh, poor Shasta. Just when he thought he was done running.
His heart sinks. Seems so unfair, but he obeys, even feeling like he's being asked the impossible.
That line about good deeds.
He had not yet learned that if you do one good deed, your reward usually is to be set to do another and harder and better one. Powerful. The hermit points the way, tells him to run, always run.
What happens back at the hermitage?
The hermit cares for Aravis and the horses, very gently. Hwin asks if Aravis will live.
And the lion?
The hermit reassures them she'll probably live. The lion didn't kill her.
Aravis wakes up.
On a soft bed of heather, very sore. The hermit says the wounds are like whip cuts. Sore, but not deep or dangerous.
There's scratches, really.
10 scratches. And he remarks it must have been a very strange lion to just draw its claws lightly like that.
Aravis calls it luck.
I say, I have had luck. And the hermit delivers that killer line. Daughter, I have now lived 109 winters in this world and have never yet met any such thing as luck.
Dismissing chance. Hinting at purpose.
Exactly. He confirms Rabadash won't come this way. Aravis worries about Shasta getting there in time. The hermit says there's good hope.
Then fog rolls in.
Thick fog. Aravis lies there, imagining Shasta running, lost in it.
And he is running through the fog.
Desperate, lonely, stitch in his side, feeling like the unluckiest person in the whole world. That earlier thought of luck feels pretty hollow now.
And then,
The lion.
in the fog, he can't see it clearly, feels warmth, breath, scent. Terrified, but also feels this strange beauty. Thinks it's a ghost.
But it speaks. Deep, warm voice. Confirms it's real. Tell me your sorrows.
And Shasta does.
Pours out everything, his whole life story. The escape, the dangers, feeling alone, unlucky.
And as he talks.
The fog changes, becomes luminous. Gray turns white. A light grows, coming from the lion. He sees it pacing beside him. Huge, beautiful, terrifying.
Nothing more terrible or beautiful.
The lion stops, touches Shasta's forehead with its tongue. Their eyes meet, and then gone. The fog, the light, the lion disappear in a swirling glory.
Yeah.
Shasta's left alone on grassy hill. Blue sky, birds singing. He knows immediately. He's in Narnia.
He made it through the pass, guided.
Guided by the lion. His first thought is luck, but he corrects himself. It wasn't luck at all, really. It was him. That encounter changes everything for him.
So he's in Narnia. What now?
He meets some talking beasts, a hedgehog, a rabbit, tells them about Rabadash's army coming.
And their reaction is very Narnia.
Hilariously so. Leisurely, conversational. You don't say so. The hedgehog agrees. Somebody ought to tell someone about it. But they're mostly planning their nap.
Huh. Love that Narnian pace.
Contrasts so sharply with Calormen. Luckily, a dwarf named Duffel shows up, sees Shasta's exhausted, starving.
Takes him in.
Immediately, to his cottage. Recognizes the boy needs food and rest.
And the Narnian hospitality kicks in.
Big time, cozy cottage. And the breakfast. Bacon, eggs, mushrooms, toast, which is a marvel to Shasta, butter, coffee, cream. So different from Calormen. It's abundance, kindness.
He eats and sleeps.
Falls fast asleep, wakes the next morning to trumpets, clear and sharp and valiant. The Narnian army has arrived.
Who's leading them?
King Edmund, Queen Lucy, Lord Peridon, centaurs, talking animals, giants, the whole Narnian host.
Edmund recognizes Shasta.
Yeah, from Tashbun. Realizes he wasn't a traitor. All's well.
And Prince Corin is there too.
Looking just like Shasta. Edmund's exasperated because Corin's desperate to fight. Even though he's underage and only has a scraped knuckle he claims is a battle wound.
Typical Corin.
Corin tells Shasta to grab some spare dwarf armor and join the fight. Shasta feels awkward, but agrees.
Like at the hermitage that watched the battle.
The hermit describes it from his roof for Aravis and the horses. Narnian tactics, the wildcats attacking the horses. He sees Edmund fighting, Lord Peridon and the two boys, Corin fighting like a seasoned warrior, and Shasta, his double, right there with him.
Rabadash gets captured.
Defeated and captured. King Loon of Archenland judges him, refuses a duel because Rabadash attacked treacherously. No knight, but a traitor, orders him bound, upholding that code of honor.
Rabadash appeals to his god.
Detach, and then Aslan appears.
The lion himself.
His judgment on Rabadash is unique, tailored to his specific sins.
Okay.
Arrogance, treachery, passion.
What this ends?
He'll turn into an ass. right there at the Temple of Tash, unless he stays within 10 miles of it forever.
Harsh. Is there any way out?
A very specific, difficult path. If he repents and goes to a Narnian council during a festival in Tashbaan, he can become human again, but only for the festival. Then he turns back unless he stays near the temple.
So he chooses
the easier path. Stays near Tash, becomes an ass, and goes down in history as Rabadash the Ridiculous. It's very Narnian justice, fitting the punishment to the crime, offering redemption but making it hard.
Then Aslan goes to the hermitage.
Appears to Aravis, Bree, and Hwin. Bree is terrified, but Hwin, despite her fear, steps forward bravely. Offers herself completely. You may eat me if you like. Total trust.
And Aslan explains.
He confirms he was the lion chasing them.
Why?
To make them go faster. To push Shasta specifically towards the hermit to get the warning out. So the terror had a purpose.
And Aravis scratches.
He addresses those directly. It was I who wounded you.
Wow.
Explains it was tear for tear, throb for throb, blood for blood, equal to the stripes the slave girl got when Aravis drugged her.
Consequences.
You needed to know what it felt like, Aslan tells her. A lesson in empathy delivered through direct experience, holding her accountable even in her desperate flight.
Powerful. And he was with Shasta in the fog, too.
Confirms that, too. His constant guiding presence, even when unseen.
How does Bree take all this?
He's overwhelmed with shame, his fear running ahead. He feels worthless, fit only for slavery. Worries about facing free Narnian horses as a coward.
But the hermit offers some wisdom.
Great wisdom. Tells Bree he lost nothing but his self-conceit. He wasn't as great as he thought he was compared to dumb horses, but now, knowing he's nobody special, he can become a very decent sort of horse.
A lesson in humility, needed for Bree.
Definitely. Challenges that pride and status obsession. Bree still frets, though, about fitting in, about his cropped Calormen tail.
And Aravis asks about swearing by the lion.
Yeah, since Bree hates lions, Bree explains the lion means Aslan, the great deliverer. He's shocked Aravis didn't know Aslan is a lion based on Tashbaan rumors. Shows how differently Aslan is understood.
Okay, final big reveal. At Anvard Castle. Shasta's identity.
King Lune reveals the truth. Shasta is Prince Kor, his elder twin son, kidnapped as a baby.
Making Corin the younger twin.
And Corin is thrilled. Doesn't want to be king anyway. King Lune explains kingship isn't about doing what you want. It's duty, sacrifice, being under the law.
Kor tries to refuse.
Yeah, doesn't want to take it from Corin. But Lune says Kor is older by 20 minutes. Law is law. Corin's happy being the spare.
So, new beginnings. Aravis stays at Anvard.
Accepts King Lune's invitation. Kor and Aravis meet again, and there's this quiet understanding between them, recognizing they've both had these life-changing encounters with Aslan.
And Bree, still self-conscious.
Yep. On the way to Anvard, learns Narnians don't usually ride talking horses, except in battle. Still gloomy about Narnian customs, contrasting with Kor's excitement about maybe escaping his lessons. Now he's a prince.
So their journey ends with reaching safety, but also these huge revelations about who they are, their destiny.
And the nature of the world they were running towards, it really throws that contrast into sharp relief, doesn't it?
Totally. Calormen, hierarchy, secrets, cruelty, status.
Mm-hmm.
And then Narnia and Archenland, open skies, talking animals, myth, a different kind of law, love, service, Aslan's guidance.
The themes just resonate, freedom, physical and internal, duty versus desire, pride versus humility, and that constant thread of divine guidance, Aslan's hand working through what looks like chaos or bad luck.
Yeah, those details stick with you, the slightly bureaucratic talking beasts.
Ha! Yes, the battle tactics, Rabadash's ridiculous end, Aslan's very personal, almost surgical lessons for Aravis and Bree.
Really makes you think about journeys we take in life, planned or unplanned.
Mm-hmm.
How unexpected bumps, maybe encounters that seem like bad luck, can just completely change everything.
Yeah.
Reveal things about ourselves, about the world. How do you react when your plans get totally derailed?
Exactly. Which brings us to that final thought, that provocative question the story leaves hanging. The hermit says, I have never yet met any such thing as luck.
Right.
And Aslan confirms he was directly involved in the scary parts, the chase, the scratches, the fog. It presents this world where coincidence isn't really coincidence. It's destiny, providence, a guided path.
So the question for you listening is, how does that perspective challenge or maybe affirm how you see the events in your own life? The coincidences, the setbacks, the moments of seeming luck, good or bad.